In the far reaches of the galaxy, a civilization is under siege.
We are all that is left.
They've searched the universe for a leader.
Stay tuned for scenes from next week's Galaxy Quest.
Never give up, never surrender.
He will save us.
What they got
Never give up and never surrender.
were struggling TV actors.
You are our last hope.
Where's my limo?
Okie dokie.
And they're about to put on a command performance 8 million light years away.
We are actors, not astronauts.
You are our protectors.
That was a hell of a thing.
Now,
Laredo, take us out.
You gotta move to the right.
Would you sit your ass down? You want to drive this thing?
acting like heroes,
The whole thing was just a misunderstanding.
may not be enough.
They look like little children. Hi, little guy.
Oh, darn.
DreamWorks Pictures presents Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, Alan Rickman, Galaxy Quest.
You're just gonna have to kill him.
Well, go for the mouth, the throat, his vulnerable spots.
It's a rock. It doesn't have any vulnerable spots.
Welcome to the latest episode of the B Movie Club. I'm your host, Kevin. This week we'll be discussing the 1999 sci-fi comedy classic, Galaxy Quest, starring Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver. It's an all-star cast. Alan Rickman, Sam Rockwell. For those who are joining us for the first time, each week on the B Movie Club I discuss certain guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the past. You can go to our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club, and give us the big thumbs up. You can also follow us on Twitter, at the B Movie Club. And don't forget to go to our page on YouTube at KD9575 and hit the subscribe button, won't you? It's totally free. Don't forget to spread the word, please. If you do all these things, you'll be instantly notified whenever we post a new video. Anytime I find an interesting article online about movies or actors or just craziness in general, I'll send it right out to you via these social networking sites. So please check them out and spread the word. Galaxy Quest. In the early 80s, there was this hit sci-fi show called Galaxy Quest, which dealt with the crew members of a spaceship going far and wide, having interesting adventures. Unceremoniously, the show was canceled after a few years. However, it became a huge cult hit. Became more popular after the show was canceled. So now there are actually like conventions, Galaxy Quest conventions, where people can go and meet the former stars of Galaxy Quest. You've got, sound familiar? It's basically kind of a knockoff of Star Trek and its popularity. They have all these interesting cast members. And it very closely mirrors the original Star Trek show. You have the main Captain Kirk guy, played by Tim Allen, who, in the Galaxy Quest movie, he's kind of like, was always the big star of the group and still thinks of himself that way, even though the show, people outside of the culty fans aren't really feeling him anymore. The other cast members don't really like him anymore. None of them have really done anything much since the show went off the air. This is basically all they have. Alan Rickman plays this actor, this British esteemed actor, who plays this weird alien who has this weird alien headpiece the entire time, and it's just, he hates that this is his big claim to fame. He was like, I was a Shakespearean actor, and this is what I've come to. It's very sad. But then a strange thing happens. Because they all get called over to open up strip malls and appear on little crazy local shows by their fans, it doesn't seem strange when these strangely clad characters arrive with this, very elaborate story about how they're aliens from another planet, and they've patterned their whole civilization upon the historical documents of the old Galaxy Quest TV show, and how there's another evil alien who's attacking them, how they need his help. So they scoop up Tim Allen, who thinks this is all, just some fan fiction, kind of an elaborate fan thing that they do. It isn't until he gets up there that he starts to realize how true this actually is. This is a real thing. And he's like, hey, sounds good. Where can I help? Not really kind of feeling the full gravity of the situation. How these are real people. These are real aliens who really need his help. But again, the aliens think that he's the character from the show, not this kind of down on his luck actor type. Eventually, Tim Allen recruits the rest of the crew to come up to outer space to help defend the aliens. They quickly realize this, not only is this real, but this is way beyond their abilities. Again, they're just actors. They're not really spaceship people, astronauts. I don't know what the term would be. Crew members. So, now they've got this homicidal alien named Ceres, who's kind of like a reptilian insect creature, is now out to kill them all. Very early on, when Ceres, the evil Ceres, comes aboard their spaceship to meet with them, he starts to torture one of the friendly aliens, and he forces Tim Allen to reveal the fact that, hey, you don't need to torture him because we're not really who they think we are. We are, in fact, actors from this TV show. And, which is kind of, it's news to the friendly aliens. It's kind of funny, the evil aliens, the friendly aliens, because they don't have, they don't understand. Okay? They don't have actors. When people say something, it's the truth. It's the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. They said they've learned deception from following from interacting with the evil aliens. Basically because he would offer mercy and bring carnage, that sort of thing. So now they're very upset. And it's funny because as the aliens meet the crew members, because again, there's the actor, the famous British actor Alexander Dane wearing a crazy headpiece. So they think he's another alien. And when they're preparing their meals, everybody's eating like, oh, this is the best Iowa beef I've ever had. It's amazing. And of course, they give him a bowl of crazy slop with like creatures crawling around in it because they think that's what he eats, because he's, again, another crazy alien. I don't want to spoil everything. I don't want to give everything away in this. There's a lot of layers to this. This movie is hilarious. It directly pulls from themes and characters that you've seen in Star Trek Next Generation, and all the other kind of Star Trek related shows. How they've got, from the original TV series, there was like the young kid who was like working on board the ship as if that would ever happen. They've got the William Shatner type who thinks a lot of himself, but the other crew members hate him. In fact, there's a scene in the show where he's in the bathroom at the convention, and a couple people at the convention are talking amongst themselves, saying, oh yeah, all those guys are losers. I mean, and, Tim Allen is the worst. Well, I don't know if Tim Allen's the worst. But, he thinks he's all that, but really he's just a loser too. Evidently that really happened to William Shatner at one of those conventions like years and years ago. I mean, he was in the bathroom in one of the stalls and he heard people talking about him this way, and I guess he didn't realize that the other cast members didn't like him and all this other stuff. So it's kind of interesting. One thing that is interesting is Sam Rockwell plays this character named Guy Fleegman, who was crew member number 6 on the original series, I guess. And as anybody knows who watches Star Trek, whenever they'd beam down to a planet, there'd always be a couple random dudes, they call them red shirts, who would just get killed. Their whole job was just to die, because they couldn't have Spock get killed. They couldn't have, couldn't have those guys get killed. So you had to have just a random dude get killed. So that's his character. And he was brought back at the conventions because he's kind of the moderator of a lot of the conventions. And he kind of considers himself a member of the cast, even though he was only on one episode and he was quickly killed. So he tags along through this entire thing, and he quickly begins to realize that that's who he is, perhaps in real life as well. Like, he's only around to die when they land on a planet as well. He said he based his performance on Bill Paxton's performance from Aliens, if you remember that one. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
They are so cute.
Sure, they're cute now. But in a second, they're gonna get mean. And they're gonna get ugly somehow. And there's gonna be a million more of them.
Look. There's a little hurt one. Hi. Hi there, the girl.
Did you guys ever watch the show?
See, you're gonna help the little hurt one.
Originally, the movie was allegedly supposed to be much darker and had actually a lot of more curse words, more swearing. But they didn't, in retrospect, they didn't like that as much. Test audiences didn't care for it, so they kind of dialed back on the violence and actually eliminated like the curse words. If you look closely, you see a couple times where they're dropping F-bombs and they kind of edit those out. And they try to play up the comedy, which is like, I mean, they had Tim Allen. I mean, obviously this was meant to be a comedy, so I don't know how dark it is. After all, it's not Aliens or something. So, what are you gonna do? Very early on in production, Harold Ramis was actually the driving force behind getting this movie made. And he pictured either Kevin Kline or Alec Baldwin playing the Tim Allen role. And when they decided to go with Tim Allen, who was a big movie star at the time, or a television star who actually had some film success, I should say, when they casted him instead of these other guys, Harold Ramis kind of dropped out of the project. He's like, I like Home Improvement and everything, but I gotta move on. Gotta step on out of there. This movie is very popular with Star Trek fans and Star Trek cast members. The fans, like, for example, J.J. Abrams, who you might remember, did a lot of the Alias, Lost. He's actually done the new Star Trek stuff, Star Trek movies. He considers this almost like part of the canon. He said it's one of his favorite Trek movies. They actually went and interviewed George Takei, Jonathan Frakes. They interviewed Patrick Stewart. Actors who were actually in the original shows, and they love it. They think it is so true to life. They think it is eerily true to life. So even some of the ridiculous things that occurred, they were like, oh yeah, that actually happened. Oh yeah, we used to talk about that sort of thing. So I think it adds that level of authenticity. So this movie kind of slid under the radar. A lot of people aren't aware of it. I think it is great. If you have any interest in Star Trek at all, and I'm not a huge Star Trek guy, but you can absolutely see the humor in a lot of these things. So there you have it. Galaxy Quest. It currently has an 85% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, of course. If you haven't seen it, it is funny, but it has like real kind of sci-fi elements that make it kind of real as well. If you look closely, you'll see a lot of little cameos throughout this movie. You'll see Justin Long, who's now like a big star. He plays the young kind of Trekkie guy who actually helps save the day towards the end of the movie. Rainn Wilson from The Office is one of the aliens. I mean, it is crazy. Keep your eyes open. You'll see dudes you recognize all over the livelong day. So check it out. It is still streaming instantly on Netflix, so rush out and see it. Let me know what you think. Next week, I'm moving away from the comedy sci-fi genre. We're going to be doing Night of the Living Dead, the horror classic from 1968, George Romero, the groundbreaking film that basically defined the modern day zombie film. And what zombie, like Walking Dead, all those shows, they all take from George Romero. It is streaming instantly on Netflix, so let me know what you think. Send me any favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, questions, anything you want to get off your chest, and I may talk about it on the show. You can also send me any movie suggestions. I keep getting them, and I keep adding them to my queue. When a movie pops up, if it's something you guys have requested, I'm doing it. I'm doing it, okay? So good times, had by all. So thank you for joining us. Don't forget to go to our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club, and give us the big thumbs up. Go to our page on YouTube and subscribe, and don't forget to follow me on Twitter at the B Movie Club. As you know, I end every episode with a totally out of context quote, and here it is. I'm not even supposed to be here. I'm crewman number 6. I'm the guy who dies every episode to show how serious the situation is. I've got to get out of here. So there you have it. I could have gone with, by Grabthar's hammer, what a savings. But I tried to go with the other one. There's a lot of good quotes in this. Never give up, never surrender. It's kind of inspiring that way. So thank you for joining us. Next week, Night of the Living Dead. Be well.